Raw fans, you better be happy about this because in my hands, I have the definitive proof that I've dug up from the internet. Hours and hours of research, number crunching, looking at the stats, reading between the lines. Your beloved tennis-loving host has come up with 3 definitive hinge points that will decide who will win in this final, 2019 Australian Open Men's Final. And it's all right here, RAFA is going to win unless one of these 3 things fall apart for Mr. Nadal. Let's get going. Welcome to the fastest growing tennis talk show in the world. I am your host, Matt Bradshaw, who has the honor of having been recorded as possessing the highest tennis IQ ever recorded, not ranked inside the top 10 of the ATP World Tour rankings. It's never happened. Never before now. Mr. Goat is locked in a bedroom with his litter box there just in case while he undergoes, the house undergoes renovations above. Upstairs renovations has separated Mr. Goat from being a part of this show. Remember, Mr. Goat loves Roger Federer and likes Novak Djokovic a little bit more than he likes Rafa Nadal. So Mr. Goat is going for Novak on this one, but I think he is wrong. Let's talk about these 3 reasons why I think Rafa Nadal is going to win. And then later in the show, not a very long show today, we'll talk about some of the parallels to 2017, because to me, this is 2017 all over again, except this time Rafa is in the Roger position. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. Number 1, Nadal will win tonight, tomorrow, unless Djokovic is able to stop him from putting up what is some of the best hard court serving numbers he's ever put up. So you guys know how I like to take stats and average them and make like power rankings, which I didn't do this year. I mean, we used some of those same stats, but we didn't rank it like we have in the past. But we'll do that later in the year, of course. Right now, Rafa would be beating Djokovic, however. So let's look at first serve in. Not as important, and it's not going to be a major factor because Novak and Rafa are in the same spot pretty much. Rafa is serving 69% of the time his first serve is going in. And last year, he was averaging 67. So this is kind of a weird thing because Rafa's been going for more on the first serve, which makes it riskier. He's been winning more with the first serve, so it is working, and he's getting it in the box more. Maybe this is just some freak accident thing where Rafa is just playing really, really well, and he can't keep it up, but he's doing it right now. But the number that's more important to me is the win on first serve. Rafa is at 81%. Now remember, Roger was one of the kings of this tournament with 83% win on first serve. But Roger really needs that first serve to be working for him to win matches, as we saw. If he has to rely more on second serve, it's a bad thing. If he's not able to get his break points converted, it can be a very bad thing. Rafa, not so much of a problem getting and converting on break point opportunities. So when Rafa is winning 81%, almost the number we saw from Roger at this tournament, that's going to be pretty scary for anyone who's got to face Rafa. And Joker, pretty far behind at 77%. And now Joker's up 74%. And this is average hard court, all hard court tournaments last year. So last year Rafa was winning 71% on hard courts on his first serve. This year 81%. That says a lot about what Rafa's doing with his serve to go up 10%. And a Joker 74% hard court last year. Remember, that's the ATP website. It's just the way it is. I couldn't omit early hard courts. So tournaments like Indian Wells was really bad for Djokovic last year, if you remember. Of course, the Australian Open, really bad, especially on serving numbers. So I'd say Djokovic is probably just playing about the same numbers as you would have seen in the second half of last year. Now, on the second serve, Djokovic does have Rafa there. But again, second serve is not going to be as important. I'll show you why in just a moment. But right now, Djokovic at this tournament, the Australian Open 2019, winning 64% on second serve. That's the same number Roger Federer had. That's a good number compared to everyone else who was in the tournament. That was one of the better numbers you would see on second serve win percentage. And again, Djokovic, with the bad hard court tournaments from last year factored in, averaged 58% win on second last year, so he's up to 64. 64 is a very good number for win on second serve, and it's going to do a lot. But Rafa is not far behind with 58% win on second. Still a pretty good number. If you're close to 60%, especially when, you know, Rafa is not looking to win a lot of points with his second serve. He's looking to win points with first serves that set up forehands and good returns of serve that set up forehands. That's where Rafa's getting most of his points. For Rafa to be at 58%, which is up 3% from 55 hard court average last year, 2018, I think Rafa's doing well enough on second where this match is not going to be so much about second serve. And give you proof, last year in the semifinals of Wimbledon, we saw probably the best Grand Slam match of the year. And look at the trend here. On the left, we have Mr. Joker, 71% first serve in. Rafa the same, so they're getting a lot of first serves in. And Djokovic is at 76% win on first with Rafa at 67%. Rafa ahead of Djokovic by 10%. That's a lot on second serve points won, 57 to 47. This is a match that, epic match, went deep in the fifth set. Very little separated who would win. The one thing that jumps out the most at me is one player was winning about 10% more on first serves, and when you get a lot of these first serves in, we're going to see that in this match. It's going to be much more about winning points on first serve rather than second serve, as long as you're just not getting absolutely crushed on your second serve. Number 2, Rafa Nadal will win tomorrow, tonight, whatever, if he can keep striking first and winning, dominating the match with the 0-4 shot rally points, and not have Novak Djokovic somehow disrupt that pattern. Mr. Craig O'Shaughnessy has another great brain game tennis over at the ATPtour.com website. He's got another great piece here from the numbers stats section. This article from Mr. Craig O'Shaughnessy, brain game tennis stats guru, says Nadal strikes first and asks questions later. I love this thing because he takes a lot of the numbers from 2017 Australian Open, where, again, this I'm going to talk about at the end of the video. This is such a similar occasion, but we've flipped the roles around quite a bit. And he takes those numbers from 2017 and compares them to what we're seeing now, and also throws in the average of everybody in the tournament to help you understand better. Mr. O'Shaughnessy writes, the 2017 Rafa had the consistent grinding Spanish method stamped all over it. His first 5 matches this year remarkably have seen him play fewer long rallies than the tournament average. Nadal is striking first this year and asking questions later. There is a tremendous, just thinking about, so in 2017, Rafa, 62% of his points that he played, rallies, were 0-4 shots. So obviously he's making it about striking. He's got to take his clay court game and change it a little to play it on a faster hard court. So he was trying to do it there, but he's jumped 9%. That is astonishing. That's not an easy thing to do. That's real commitment to a new game plan. And we knew Rafa was going to do it just because we heard about how he's tweaking the serve to better aid him in getting on offense right away. So he went from 62% to this year 71% for the 0-4 shot average. Now, one of the things that was interesting about my serving numbers that we did in the reason number 1 was that Rafa's win on second serve numbers would actually be a lot better if we didn't have that match with Alex de Minaur, the Demon. So Rafa wins 8 out of 22, which is way under 50% on second serve against Alex de Minaur. If we just take that and make it match closer up to his average and say he won 15 out of 22, something like that, all of a sudden he would be at 63% win on second serve. That puts him right with Roger and Joker for the average of this tournament. But the point for me is that if Alex de Minaur can really hurt the second serve and give Rafa trouble with good returning and speed and getting to every ball kind of deal, Djokovic is going to do the same thing. The fact that Rafa is serving more aggressively and setting himself up to attack sooner and make points go quicker, it's a great sign, but maybe we saw it a little bit with de Minaur. We'll see it even more with Novak Djokovic. His defense and his ability to put so much more on the return of serve may disrupt this for Rafa. Rafa might not be able to feel so comfortable attacking on that first ball off the serve return when it's Djokovic's return and it's actually pushing Rafa back and just taking him out of this comfort zone that he's set. But the reason why I wonder if that will happen, and I think Rafa has the edge, is his execution has been so flawless. That's why we've seen him not drop a set and just dominate. A lot of players are playing good. Tsitsipas played pretty well, and Rafa embarrassed him. When Rafa does get the short ball, his execution has been flawless. And the numbers don't lie. They're right here in Mr. O'Shaughnessy's point. Not only is Rafa committed to having these 0-4 shot rallies more frequently, he's winning them much more often than he did, almost twice as often. This is the most astonishing number of the whole tournament for me. This is the story of the tournament, and this is ultimately why I'm pretty confident Rafa's going to win in 4 sets like we saw at 2010 U.S. Open, 2013 U.S. Open. We're going to get another one of those. In 2017, the 0-4 shot rallies for Rafa, if you take all of them, wins, losses, points won, points lost, and deduct, your net is plus 52. This year, the same rallies, 0-4 shot rallies, Rafa's plus 95. 5-8 shot rallies, he's plus 30 instead of plus 24 from 2017. The 9 over, plus 39, plus 14 here. So he did a lot better in the 9-over, but he's not participating in them nearly as much. He doesn't want to be in them. He wants his body to last, and he wants to win easier matches. So, it's not just about like staying fresh to make it to the final and play great there. It's about extending his career as well. You better believe Rafa has his sights set on what is so important to me and Fed heads, unibros around the world, that 20 slam major number. Rafa knows that he can get past it, and he wants to. That's why it's important that for Roger fans, Roger's still around and still has a chance to win some more titles, or at least maybe just play Rafa and stop him personally. Roger wouldn't care maybe so much if he just stops him from winning another Wimbledon or Australian Open down the road from here. So ultimately, I think Rafa executing so well, and you can see it in the numbers, twice as successful on those quick strike rallies. As soon as he gets the ball he wants to attack, he's doing it perfectly. He's winning all these points. And I think even the great Djokovic, he might get some good returns to disrupt this pattern a little bit, but I think Rafa will see enough balls that he likes to where he's going to put a lot of pressure on Djokovic, and I think we'll see Djokovic a little uncomfortable. Unless, my final reason in this video, reason number 3, Rafa will win if he makes tonight's match, more like 2017 rather than 2011. Now, Novak Djokovic has dominated the head-to-head. Rafa has not beat Joker on a hard court since the U.S. Open Final 2013. He hasn't beat Joker on grass since 2008. Rafa does not have a whole lot of wins against Djokovic on fast surfaces. Now, I say 2011 because Rafa hasn't had a lot of streaks against Joker. 2 and 3 match streaks. Rafa has them throughout their head-to-head. Djokovic has had 2 runs of 7 wins in a row, and I got to see one of those runs really get going in Miami 2011. That's why I say 2000, because you could say 2015. There's a long stretch where Djokovic wins, I think, 7 matches in a row again. But maybe you could say Rafa not as healthy, not at his best. In 2011, Rafa was playing pretty well. That Djokovic just elevated his game to a new level that Rafa couldn't cope with at first, and really had to adjust his game and adapt to be able to handle Djokovic the way he was playing 2011. They always say Rafa never gives up on a point, and he's so mentally tough. But I would say during these stretches against Djokovic, this is the most broken we've seen Rafa. It was really weird. Roger was the best by far. He's winning everything. Then comes Rafa and challenges that, and it was hard for Roger, and he had to adjust. He had to adapt his game a little bit. And then as soon as you thought, oh man, Rafa, it looks like he's going to start winning everything, and he's really giving Roger trouble, all of a sudden Djokovic starts winning, and he starts catching up with the Rafa records a little bit, and he starts winning all these matches and making Rafa think like, I can't beat the guy. I can beat everyone except this one guy. Well, here we are, and their major counts are the same as it was in 2017 for Roger and Rafa. Roger had 17. Remember, he was stuck at 17. People thought he'd never win another major. He goes into 2017 with 17, and Rafa has 14 at that time, which is what Djokovic has now. Had Rafa won that 2017 Australian Open final, he would have been 2 away from Roger, which he can do again now. He'll be at 18, 2 away from 20. He would have been 15 to 17. He would have known he's going to the French next and likely going to have 16 to 17. And Roger fans would be in a state of panic, which I'm sure most Federer fans are worried about right now. But now it's the same thing flipped. Now Djokovic is at 14. If he can beat Rafa, he gets to 15. It's not the same where we think he's going to win the French no matter what, but we would say, okay, Joker won 3 in a row. He's very likely to win at least the U.S. Open or Wimbledon in 2019, which would put him at 16, which unless Rafa gets a French Open, he probably would, but they could easily be within 1 or 2. Joker would be in striking distance of taking the record from Rafa. Another parallel to 2017 is, people really were starting to write off Roger and say maybe he could win Wimbledon, but, we're not going to see him compete anywhere else. He hasn't been healthy. He had a surgery. Well, this year, people have been writing Rafa off on the hard courts and on the grass and say, well, he can win clay if he can get healthy enough for that stretch. Rafa had a surgery recently, had to skip a lot of tournaments, and a lot of people thought, I don't think he's going to be able to hold up his body for these tough matches on the hard courts. And just like Roger did in 2017, he did a lot to be more aggressive with his backhand. Rafa's tweaked the serve. Doesn't matter about which shot they tweaked. They tweaked their game in a way to where they can attack more and play shorter points. It is so similar. And I think what we're ultimately going to see is another crazy 5-set match where there's not a lot between the two players, and Rafa just finds a way to win it. and preserve that legacy. He's ahead of Joker right now, and he wants to keep it that way. Even though he doesn't have the best head-to-head record against Djokovic, just like Federer didn't against Rafa, he's going to find a way to rise above and win this thing in 5 sets. So there you go. That's all the numbers. That's all I got. Comment down below what you think of this going into the final, your predictions, your scores. And I didn't even talk about this. Will there be the 5th set being a 10-point tiebreaker? Will that be a factor? Who does that benefit? I don't know. I don't really think it matters too much at this point, because Rafa is very likely going to either win a very tough 5-set match where he finds a way, or even better, maybe he'll beat Djokovic in 4. Comment below what you think. See ya!
I'm talking to you, bro.